Where is it? Yeah, you're recording.
There you go.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hans Klingzon, Chairman of the Village of Fishkill Planning Board. I'll call the Village of Fishkill Planning Board of September 17th at this time to order. Would the secretary please take a roll call to establish a quorum?
Chairman Hans Klingzon,
Here.
Planning Board Member Teresa Cucciolo,
Here.
Planning Board Member Stephen Brown,
Here.
Planning Board Member Suzanne Speziale,
Here.
Planning Board Member Raylene Van Gelderen, I think is not here yet, absent. We have alternate Planning Board Member Brian Gaston.
Here.
Also in attendance, we have the Village Code Enforcement Officer, Tom Vantine, Village Planner, Sarah Brown, Planning Board Attorney, Victoria Polidoro, Village Engineer from Larry Paggi's office, Christian Paggi.
Okay, we established we do have a quorum. Okay, I have confirmed with the board's counsel that tonight's meeting has been convened in accordance with the Governor's March 13th, 2020 Executive Order 202.1, which suspends certain provisions of the open meeting law to allow a municipal board to convene a meeting via teleconferencing in accordance with the executive order. The public has been provided with an ability to view tonight's meeting, and a transcript will be provided at a later date. I have done a roll call of the board members, and there is a quorum present for this meeting. I have also confirmed with the board secretary that this meeting has been duly noticed, and we have fulfilled our legal notice requirements by posting notices on the village bulletin board and news organizations, etc., and posting notices on the village agenda center of this website. Also, please, when you speak, please provide your name so that the secretary knows who is speaking at the time. Thank you very much. First item on the agenda this evening is the minute approval of August 20th meeting. I would like a motion, please. Motion to accept or corrections.
I move to accept them. Meetings from August 20th. Minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second. Suzanne Speziale.
Okay, I have a motion second on the floor. Secretary, please take roll call vote.
Hans,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Suzanne.
Yes.
Now, will Brian be a voting member tonight since Raylene is not here? Hans?
Right.
Okay, Brian?
Yes.
Carried.
Victoria, can you fix my name? If we're recording this, my name is wrong.
Oh, you're not Teresa Kraft.
Not-
Cucciolo.
Mhm.
Thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is Burger King, 730 Route 9, amended site plan. Would the applicant please state your name for the record and tell us what's happening?
Steve Wilson on behalf of Carol's Corp. Good evening. Can you give me screen sharing capabilities? And I can pull up the rendered site plan?
So let's see, advanced sharing.
There we go.
Okay.
Can the board see the site plan, the rendered site plan?
Yes.
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 All right, I think as you got a sense of the project when we were before you kind of at the last minute at last month's meeting, Burger King is looking to eliminate the second drive-through lane. And this is the original site plan you saw and approved last year. And what I highlighted in red here shows the area that we're looking to remove from the site plan. And And this is the updated site plan that shows essentially the single lane drive-through, the single ordering point. The bypass lane is maintained, so essentially everything just shifts further away from the property line, which is good, as those were some issues that came up during the planning process. With the previous plan, the speaker was approximately the speaker for the closest speaker to the property line was approximately 40 feet. Now the closest speaker is 60 feet from the property line. The landscape buffer increases from 8.6 feet to 16 feet, as well does the parking setback from the real property line, which was 8.6 feet, and that increases to 16 feet. Impervious surface goes down on the property as well by about several percent. So all in all, it's the changes address some of the comments that were raised previously regarding buffers and landscaping. So we think it's a simple amendment. As you're aware, the project's already under construction. If the board doesn't approve, Burger King would simply go forward with the approved site plan, but they are looking to make this amendment. Thank you.
What is the reason for eliminating the second lane?
Just a change in, put simply, I guess you could say, corporate philosophy about the need for the side-by-side drive-through. Just change in thinking that they no longer, they've been running these at some other sites, and they found that the additional costs associated with the second drive-through isn't paying the dividends they hoped for. They get all they need out of the single drive-through lane.
Okay. Engineering, would you go over your memo, please?
Sure thing. This is Christian. Yeah, Steve pretty much outlined everything that was being changed. Like you said, it's really just resulting in a less intense of a use, and because of the change in that that pass-by lane, that's now, like he said, I believe like 8 feet further away from the property line, those adjacent properties. It's resulting in a decrease in the impervious surface. Like he said, there's now a total decrease in impervious surface from existing of 0.36 acres.
Steve?
Hi.
Sorry to interrupt. Steve, I think, is that your screensaver?
Sorry.
No problem.
Could have been worse.
The applicant also submitted a revised SWIP with the plans, just outlining all the changes. As we mentioned in our comment letter, it seems that this really is a minor change, and we didn't take any exception to the changes or the changes in the site plan or the changes in the SWIP. Yeah, we didn't find any issue with what was submitted.
Okay, so then your office is okay with this then, right? Correct?
Correct. From our standpoint, from a utility standpoint, from a stormwater standpoint, there's, like I said, this is really a reduction in those issues. So it's like I said, a less intense use. So yeah, we have no issue, and they've submitted a comprehensive package that encapsulates all of these changes. So everything was updated, the plans were updated, the SWIP was updated. So we didn't pick up anything from a technical side that really was an issue. The only question that we did have, and I'm not sure if Sarah's office wants to take this, but the queuing associated with a single lane drive-through, there's just less opportunity for, there's less room for cars to queue. Before there was, I think, 10 or 11 cars that could queue without backing up onto, into the entrance area. That's obviously reduced down to like 5 cars. Well, it's a little bit out of our purview. We just weren't sure if that was something that needed to be addressed by the DOT, or just let the DOT know that this change was coming. If that went into play at all with the DOT permitting. So that was really the only concern that we could really think of. So.
Sarah, do you want to go over your comments, please?
Yes, and well, this wasn't in my memo, but Larry and Christian had all sent me an email asking that question, and I guess I'm going to push it off to Steve. Steve, does DOT know that you have reduced the lanes?
Actually, they do. The plan they saw included the single drive-through lane. There was never any comments in our entire process with DOT about queuing issues. They just never raised an issue.
Okay, so from a Village of Fishkill code issue, we don't have issue with the number of queuing spaces. It meets the requirement of our code. The driveway location is still in the same, the ingress is still in the same location as it was on the previous plan. As part of the seeker review, because DOT is an approving agent, I would feel better knowing that they have seen this plan. Do you have your submittal or something from them that they had seen this single lane, just because it deals with the intersection that they're actually approving?
I guess I'd have to check with the contractor because he kind of wrapped up
Okay.
the, but if we're heading towards, I'll let you finish. Yeah, I'd have to check with the contractor.
Okay. I don't think, so in my memo, I did put, this was an unlisted action, and under the previous approval, the board granted a neg deck. I think we're still in a situation because this reduces the amount of impervious surface. It's moving the speaker farther from the property line. Everything has been reduced. So all of the impacts that were reviewed in the previous seeker review, there is even less of an impact that we found before for the neg deck. So I think the board is in a position to reaffirm the neg deck. But because DOT is an approving agent, and this directly involves that entrance to the site, I would feel better if we had something from DOT that they were good with this. I know they were good with it before with the 2, and if you're saying that they've seen this single lane plan, I think we're fine. But I would like to see some kind of documentation or something from DOT.
I'm still not, but I guess I got to back up. Where do you think there's less of a queue? I flipped back to the original plan.
Right.
Essentially,
6 more cars or 7 more cars here in the red.
Right, but we found that they just don't have that kind of volume. That's the reason. If they had cars stacking out that far, they would keep the double drive-through lane. You're just not having that kind of level of activity at the drive-through.
So
Right.
Steve, all we're asking for you to either get us an email from DOT saying they have no problem with the change, or show us that the permit that you've already received was based on a single lane drive-through.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. We had great, to say we had great issues getting our final permit from DOT would be an understatement. So if that's a condition of the board approving this plan, I'll be perfectly honest, I wonder if I'll be able to get a sign off before we finish construction.
Steve, at this point, we're not asking you to get a new permit. You just advised us that the permit you applied for was based on.
I'm just saying, getting an email from them signing off on it might be difficult, but I understand what you're asking for.
So the concern is that if DOT originally was okay with the 2 lanes, theoretically, if with the 2 lane scenario, if cars were starting to stack on Route 9, they would be able to go into the second lane. So you actually have an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 queuing spots from the speaker. So you essentially have 12 cars or 11 cars that could be at the drive-through at any one time before you're going out to Route 9. If you've eliminated the second drive-through lane, which I think we all agree is a great thing, we just want to make sure that DOT didn't review it from the aspect of thinking that you have enough queuing space for 11 cars before they come out on Route 9.
If the applicant has a problem getting a response from DOT and it turns out the permit was based on the double queue, for our purposes, would the board be comfortable if we had him provide us with Burger King's, numbers for drive-throughs that for the current business, the current operation, showing what the peak drive-through queue is?
That sounds fine. This is Teresa Cucciolo. Because obviously they have those numbers because that's why they decided not to do this, not to go for the double lane.
Now, I mean, if the applicant is turning around and saying, we don't have the flow or the number of people that would be using a second drive-through, and they're saying that we're confident with the single one, I don't see a problem with it. Like I said, at the very beginning, we questioned the fact that why do you need a second lane for ordering? And it seemed to me at that time it was pointed out it was a business situation. So it seems like by going to a single lane here, I think we're winning on the situation as to this is the way we would have preferred it at the very beginning. As to hold up the process of waiting for DOT to make up their mind if they want to go or don't go, if they have concerns or don't concerns, dealing with New York State, especially now, I think it'd be a heck of a burden on the applicant. That's my opinion on this whole thing. The other question I have for you, Sarah, is that you have here, it says the referring to Dutchess County Planning. Is that just because we have to do that, or do you feel that they're going to come up with some sort of a situation here that said that we shouldn't allow this?
No, it's procedural, it's required.
So the applicant can go on with the construction with this happening here without being held up from Dutchess County Planning, correct?
Correct, yeah.
As long as they're not constructing the drive-through.
Right.
Right.
And, this thing with DOT, I'm hoping that it's not being misconstrued as more than we're looking for. We just want to make sure that from a seeker aspect, because they are an approval agency, that it's been considered before we reaffirm the neg deck. I think Victoria makes a great point that if the applicant does have difficulty with DOT, which is understandable, getting some kind of an email and they don't have a copy of the permit with the single lane plan attached that they can show us, I think an alternative is great about telling us the business model that they don't need that double drive-through. Just for the board, for your seeker purposes. But I think that's the only thing that we need. The rest of it, like I said, and like you said, Hans, to echo your statements, I think this is a much better plan. I like it much better with a single drive-through.
Okay, Victoria, what are our options here? Can we just turn around and say, yeah, we like this, we approve of it? Or do we say that, yeah, go on, keep building this thing, but don't build any of the drive-ins until we hear from DOT one way or the other?
So you can't approve it tonight no matter what, because it does have to be referred to county planning procedurally. So tonight you'd have to send it to county planning for 239M. You can waive a public hearing. There's been discussion about whether or not you want the applicant to show you a copy of their DOT permit. So that's up to the board, whether you feel comfortable reaffirming seeker without any additional input from DOT or additional information on average queuing sizes, or whether you want some additional input.
Okay, let's question the board. Teresa, what do you think?
I think just getting the queuing information or the drive-through quantity information would be fine. I also have another question about it. Would there be an opportunity to put bigger trees for landscaping for more sound barriers now that there's more room there? Just a question, because now there's like, it looks like what, arborvitae that are there?
Well, vegetation in and of itself doesn't provide much of a sound deadening. The fence we're putting up is probably going to have a more effect on sound than any landscaping.
Okay, it was just a question. But I'm fine as long as we get just the queuing numbers.
Okay. Suzanne?
I agree with Teresa as far as the queuing numbers. Me personally, I drive by that so often, the Burger King, and I've never, to be honest with you, seen a line, to this day, to Route 9, sticking out there. So I agree with Teresa and the request.
Okay. Steve?
Yeah, Hans, I'm okay with getting information from either their submittal to DOT to show that it was just a single lane instead of two, or with their representation that they have data indicating that it's not necessary. So I'd be okay either way.
Okay. Brian?
I agree with Suzanne that the single lane looks better, and having driven past there quite a bit, it's very rare that there's a lot of people in the drive-in. So I think the numbers from Burger King themselves showing the queue numbers would be adequate. As well, with the drive around lane as an option just to get around the building, if there is a backup, I think that would alleviate any issues as well.
Okay. My next question to the board is, how does the board feel by waiving the public hearing on this? I don't, personally, I don't think we need a public hearing on this because it seems to me that the public would be more than happy with the change to single lane. But again, how does the board feel?
So Hans, this is Steve. I agree. I think this is from an adjoining property owner's perspective, this is an improvement. And so I don't think we would need to have another public hearing. But then, I would also ask, is it both appropriate and feasible to notify the adjoining property owners of this change? They were fairly vocal at the public hearing about noise and light and buffering and et cetera. And this improves all those things. So it may be a nice PR for both the village and the and Burger King to say, we've moved the traffic noise and whatnot 8 feet farther away from your property lines.
So Steve, that's a good idea, and Burger King is welcome to do that, but there's no mechanism for the village to send out an informal notice like that, because then, the public will want it on other applications as well. And
okay, that understood.
By code,
then
we
I
have
would,
public hearings.
yep. Then I would encourage Burger King to do that then.
Okay.
Suzanne? How do you feel, Suzanne, about
You're on mute.
waiving the public hearing?
Oh, sorry about that. No, I agree to, to waive as far as the public hearing goes. And if anything, I think they'd be much happier. And I thought that was a good idea for Steve, but not knowing that, we didn't have to, for the village to send out letters, because it'd be nice to say, hey, guess what? This is a plus on your end, we're, it's being not so close to the property line and stuff like that with the noise and stuff, not two microphones going the same time or vice versa. But yeah, I think it'd be great if maybe Burger King wants to send letters to them, the surrounding property line saying that. It'd be nice. I mean, I wouldn't make them forced to do it, but it would be nice little gesture, something nice to get in the mail, saying about the new change, that looks like it's going in their favor. Yeah.
Teresa?
I agree with that too. So I think it's a good idea.
Okay. Ryan?
I agree as well. Yeah, I think it'd be a benefit to not only the building, but also the neighbors to just forego it.
Okay. So it seems the consensus of the board is that we waive the public hearing and request the applicant send out letters to the neighbors saying that we're making life better for you. We're eliminating one of the lanes. But again, we can't force the applicant to do that. We can only request. That being said, I'll entertain a motion.
Somebody else is doing my dog work.
So Hans, this is Steve. I would make a motion that the presentation on the proposed Burger King site to eliminate the second queuing lane for the drive-through as presented be approved.
No, we would just
No,
be
you're not.
waiving the public hearing for that.
Okay.
You're
So
just
then
waiving to waive the public
I
hearing.
will withdraw what I just said and make a motion that we waive the public hearing.
Do I have a second on that?
Second, Suzanne Spezialis.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Secretary, please take a roll call vote.
Hans,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
and Brian.
Yes.
That's carried.
Okay, the next thing we need to do is make a motion on the seeker issue. Is that correct?
No, so we need to refer it to county planning.
Okay. Now, I need a motion that we refer this to county planning then?
So moved.
Who?
This is Steve. I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and second. All, Secretary, please take a roll call.
Hans,
Yes?
Teresa,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
That's carried.
Okay, then.
Angie, do you have an extra set to send to county planning?
I don't know if we have an extra set.
I would
Okay,
have
so-
to look. I'm not sure either.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not
so
sure.
Steve, you may have to send one. I don't know, I can't see you right now, but you may have to send one to the village.
Okay, just let me know. And what's the date? Because we're really going to be running into, they're planning on wrapping up about November 5th. They're going to turn the site back over to Burger King. What's the date of the next hearing, next planning board meeting?
Let me see,
It would be October the 15th.
right,
Okay.
October 15th.
10/15.
But again, just sending it to county planning shouldn't interfere with the construction, correct?
It shouldn't interfere with the construction, but, they have to do the site work, it's difficult to finalize the site work in this area since we don't, I mean, it's all in likelihood we would get this project approved, but we would be running a certain risk if we started building it with just a single lane.
Well, we have to wait for county planning to,
I understand.
before we vote on this. So our hands are sort of tied at that, on that point.
I understand.
Victoria, do you want to pipe in on that?
You said it, you're absolutely correct.
Okay.
Even for just an amendment, if we're required to go through the 239M review?
If it was an extension, you wouldn't have to, but you have a change. So they do require it.
Steve, maybe myself and the contractor can meet on site one day and try to work out a game plan and figure out how to get around this. Not get around it, but work with it, so we don't hold anything up.
Yep. Thank you, Tom.
No problem.
Okay, then, so we'll be voting on this on the October 15th meeting.
And then I'm going to get you a letter from Burger King indicating the queue numbers and how a single drive-through lane is acceptable.
Okay.
Yes, and also, I mean, your permit it'd be good to see a copy of your DOT permit. If you can get that, the one they've issued.
And I will draft the resolution for the next meeting, and I will incorporate into that the reaffirming of the previous neg deck.
Okay. So we'll see you on the 15th then.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Next item on the agenda is Best Western Merritt Boulevard. Initial site plan review. Would the applicant please identify yourself for the record?
Oh, my name is Steve Burns. I'm representing the applicant. You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Do you have a map for us?
So I represent, hold on one second. Let me just find this on the bottom of it. I want to try to share this. Let's see. Can I have the ability to share my screen or no?
Victoria, you're muted.
I mean, he should have it. I allowed everyone to share.
Okay, let's see. Come on, which one am I looking for?
Go.
Right, so I don't know what that is showing, but I'm going to open up.
Showing an advertisement.
It's not what I'm trying to show. I'm not trying to advertise anything. Do you guys see the site plan or no?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so what we have is a 4+ acre parcel on Merritt Boulevard. Right at the intersection of Jefferson Boulevard, there's an apartment complex over to the right hand side of the parcel here on the screen, which would be on the east side of the parcel. And on the other side of that apartment complex is the village and town line. And then to the north is the Fishkill Creek, and most of the parcel is actually basically no man's land located within about 50 feet of the Fishkill Creek. So the heavy green dotted line is the 50-foot creek offset that is no man's land. And what we're left with is a small corner of the parcel, which is probably about 3/4 of an acre of buildable area if you work around all the easements. The easements, the creekside buffer, and also the setbacks. There's the blue lines here in this area are a stormwater easement. There's actually a 60-inch HDPE pipe that's stubbed out into here that would have to be extended. Most of the site also in this area sits pretty low, and there would have to be a 12 to 14 foot retaining wall in the low area along the 50-foot buffer on the creek in order to bring the grade up so that it was a more buildable site. Right now I think about 55 parking spaces shown and a 50 room hotel unit. It's 3.5 stories. The first story has a loft, and then the 2 stories above have about 25 rooms apiece on them. I have the applicant was looking at using Vibe by Best Western, which this is essentially the look that would be associated with it. This building is actually a 5-story hotel. We would be a 1.5 stories shorter than this.
Would you be in compliance, or would you need any kind of relief from either the federal wetlands or from New York State DOT as far as the Fishkill Creek being a trout stream?
I believe that the 50-foot buffer is all that we really have. There's no real wetlands on the site, and the 50-foot buffer is actually, I think, the village buffer. I want to say that the state says 25 feet, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Engineering, do you have any idea about the right-of-ways, or whether they're sewer, water, Central Hudson, or anything to that effect? Or I know you haven't had a chance to really look at any of the plans.
We have done a cursory review of this. I mean, the biggest issues that we really identified from the get-go that will need to be addressed, and I think will be these issues are going to be the ones that really dictate what the site can accommodate, are floodplain and these easements, and also emergency access. I think that early on this should be referred over to the fire department just to get their eyes on it, to see, if there's any issues with this layout that they could see as far as just access to the building, since it is a hotel and it's very tight and there's not access all the way around the building, which may or may not be required depending on the building code. We haven't looked at that, but the floodplain issue is going to be something that we'll have to look at closely. Pretty much the entire site's within the floodplain, so they're going to need a floodplain development permit, and with that, you're going to have to demonstrate that there's no impacts to the downstream area as far as a result of filling the site. So either providing compensatory storage or an engineering assessment just demonstrating that there won't be any increase in flooding downstream. So that's up to the applicant as how they want to handle that, but that will have to be demonstrated to the village in order for us to issue the floodplain development permit. another thing that we'll want to look at closely is the floodway limits. The FERMAT map that was just brought up by Stephen shows the floodway as the dashed area, and these maps are rough approximations of these areas. We'll want to get a real handle on what the actual limits of that floodway are, because it's not clear where the floodway, the limits of the floodway are on the site plan. You know, if they're going to be building or filling in the actual floodway, then we'll need to be referring this also to FEMA, and you know, that makes this a whole different ball game. So so that's going to be a real hurdle for this site plan. Things that we want to really look at closely, making sure that we're looking at that floodway issue and the flood storage. The other thing is just stormwater. You know, that the entire buildable area is pretty much being built and covered with impervious area. So just I'm not sure what the plans are for stormwater. I assume that they're planning on doing them underground, but again, there's easements all over the place. So they'll have to work around those also. So it's a very tight site. It's and they're getting every inch out of it. And there's some serious hurdles that we'll need to overcome. So I'm not sure, Stephen, if you guys have looked at, you know, the floodplain development permit requirements yet, and if you have a handle on what you're going to be doing for stormwater. So, but we're going to need to see those before we really issue any comments, even, because those could be game changers for the entire site.
Okay, we were looking to get in and see, just to get a feel for what was going on before we got into too much of the floodplain detail. But I'm pretty confident that that we're not going to develop in the floodway, and two, that by filling the area in the AE area, that it's not going to have any adverse effects on the flooding. Essentially, where we're located from a flooding standpoint is the areas are just low areas that suffer from, you know, overflow of the floodway because the area is lower than the actual flood elevation. The real high current is in the floodway, and because of the way that it is in that curve, most of the water is just the high current stuff is flowing right past this site, and so the filling it isn't going to have much effect on the actual elevation. And but you know, we'll study that, do a firm you know, running through HECRAS and see what we come up with. But I'm pretty confident that it's not going to have the floodplain is not going to be affected. And you're right. We're most likely going to do something underground with our stormwater. That being the case, there's limited criteria that we do have to meet. Some of the criteria is actually the CPV and other criteria for the DEC can be waived because we're discharging directly to the Fishkill Creek.
Steve, how are you going to handle snow removal? Because it is a very tight site.
There's actually quite a bit of room to put the snow on site in the other areas. Let's see. So, you know, there's like a 20-foot strip here between Merritt Boulevard and the roadway. There's quite a bit of space down here that's actually very level, and everything in the roadway. There's some room in the back over here and around the perimeter. And then, you know, worst case scenario, and probably wouldn't happen, but there's also some a lot of space. That's going to be a lawn area here. Is proposed as a lawn area in this area.
Okay. Sarah, planning.
Yes, similar to Christian's office, we also didn't prepare a formal letter because, we knew by the submission that this was just preliminary, just for a discussion item. Stephen, one of the questions we had, I did notice on the EAF that it was tagged that this is a potential archaeological site. Have you guys done any research into that, reached out to SHPO or anything?
I actually have not. I think that it's just the proximity to the Fishkill depot is what it really is.
Okay.
It's that was an autofill answer from the EAF mapper.
Right, but so I would recommend reaching out to SHPO just to make sure that that's what it is and that it hasn't been tagged for anything else.
Okay,
You didn't know that letter for seeker purposes.
Just so you know that there is a this site has been modified multiple times. I believe that one of those easements is actually a sewer main that goes through the site. So a lot of this area has been previously disturbed.
Right. So if you put that in a narrative and then to us and also to SHPO, they'll probably get
Okay.
Yeah, and then the only other thought and concern that I had, I know that Fishkill Creek is federal waters, but just to confirm with DEC that there's no DEC jurisdiction out there, like with a wetland or anything, that nothing's been tagged by them, because if there were to be a DEC wetland, there would be a 100-foot buffer associated with that, which would be very difficult on the tightness of this site.
Yeah, I don't think that I'll check with DEC, but once again, I'm fairly confident that. I'm very familiar with the Fishkill Creek in this area. Just, I've been down it in kayaks and canoes and everything else in this area right here. It actually has fairly steep banks and quickly moving water. So there's probably not the vegetation. There's definitely not the vegetation along the shorelines or anything for the wetlands on this side. There might be stuff on the other side though, possibly.
Those were the two biggest concerns that I had from the EAF, just from your standpoint, that could, really affect what was being proposed.
Okay.
How about your board members? Any comments or questions from any of the board members at this time?
This is Brian. I don't have any at this time.
Hi, it's Teresa. I just had a question about is that the north side, the back part that looks like it's close to where the residents are there, because there's apartment buildings next to that.
Yes.
That kind of looks close, and so did you say the first page of the vibe thing, is that what the plan is, to make it look kind of like that?
That's the general plan, is presented by Best Western. That's the franchise.
Yeah, it's a little modern looking for the village. So if it could be toned down a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like the big red light there, and and plus, because I know it's next to the Gap and all that, but it is right next to a residential area too.
Okay, I could talk to the owners about that.
Okay.
Good point, Teresa.
Yeah. I feel I'm channeling Chris.
I felt the same way.
Suzanne.
Teresa said the exact same thing I was thinking. Looks a little modern to me personally. So I agree with her if we could just tone it down a little bit. And my other thing is, it's just, this is not my expertise, but I am like to make sure the Fishkill Creek, like everyone else is watching out for it too, because it does have the trout. Like when you guys are talking about the snow removal, that's me personally, that's important where it goes, because if there's salt and stuff like that, it's, you know, I just wouldn't want it to affect the creek and the water and the fish and stuff like that. So, you know, just going forward, you know, that all that is all good. That's about it.
Okay, Steve?
Hans, I agree with the comments that have already been made, and I don't have anything new to add at this point.
Okay, next step is to submit some more information. I don't know if you've dealt with us before, Steve, but as long as an escrow account has been established, you can talk directly to our attorney, our engineer, and our planner directly. You don't have to go through us. Contact them directly at any time to speed this process along.
Okay.
Victoria, I didn't mean to leave you out. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I just had a preliminary comment, which was on the setback. It's 50 feet from the mean high water line. That's DEC's regulation. So I just wanted to make sure you were measuring from the right spot, because this will be referred to DEC at some point.
Yes, that's the line that was located.
Okay, good.
It's a pretty steep bank at the high water level. It's a steep bank straight down. So it's if the water's up a foot, it's maybe 6 inches or so of a difference. It's not. It's a pretty defined line.
Okay.
Do we declare lead agency for seeker on this?
I think we should wait till they come back with their next submission, because then we can declare and circulate. I don't think we're ready to send this around yet without some more information on the flood.
Okay, I'd like to refer this to the village fire department there for their comment for our next meeting also.
Oh, okay, sure, we can do that.
Yeah. Okay, does anybody else have any comments or questions at this time? Steve, will you have enough information for us to for next month, or do you want to skip a month, or how do you feel?
I think at this rate we should probably skip a month so that I could have some time to talk to my clients and make sure that that they're ready to go along and give me a little bit of time to get everything together.
Okay, that will put you into the November 19th meeting. I just had to look at that because we normally don't interfere with Thanksgiving or Christmas holidays, but that
Okay.
that would be the week before Thanksgiving, so we'll be all set there. So, okay, so then we can more or less expect you in November then, correct?
Sounds good.
Okay.
And at that point, we can declare lead agency, circulate to all those other agencies, and get it moving forward.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
That's all the agenda items that are on the agenda. I have some very sad news to present to the board. We are losing Suzanne. She has turned in her resignation. And Suzanne, thank you very, very much for the time you have spent with the board. You will be greatly missed. Thank you very much.
Thank
Oh.
you. It's been a pleasure. It was hard feelings, but it's between work and my granddaughter. Work, we're losing like 30-something people in our division in the mental hygiene health department. So we're gonna be really short-staffed. So it put me in a tough place. So, you know, and also with my granddaughter, my daughter's back to school. So it was hard. It was a hard decision, but you know, not saying I'm permanently gone forever.
Suzanne, please keep me informed because in the future, if you find you have some more freed up time and like to come back, I'd like to invite you back to as alternate member and work you back onto the board. How
Yep.
would you feel about that?
That sounds good. Sounds like a plan. I'll definitely, you know, definitely hope, yeah, I'll definitely be talking to you guys soon. And it's been nice working with you guys.
Great.
Yep.
And with you too, Suzanne.
Yes.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been really, really nice. You guys are all awesome. You know, so it's sad. It's very sad. Thank you.
Well, if you miss us a lot, you can zoom right in and see us.
That's right. I could do that. I just can't wait. I'm more of an in-person type thing. I'm not like this computer person. I'm like a in-person thing. I can't wait for this to be over with. You know? Well, nice to see you all. I'll be seeing you guys again soon.
Okay. Thank you very much, Suzanne.
Thank you.
But you're not done yet. You still have one more vote to do.
That's right.
Don't worry, I wasn't clocking out. Thanks, Susan.
I have a question. How did the election go this week?
Dean and Trudy were reelected.
Oh, okay.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Does any of the board members have any comments or questions they want to say anything to Tom or bring about at this time before we close? No?
Nope.
Nope.
This is an early one.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to close.
So moved.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion second. Secretary, please take a roll call vote.
Hans,
Yes?
Teresa,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Suzanne.
Yes.
Carried.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank
All right,
you.
good night, all.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.